fact. All right. So Danielle, thank you for joining on today. The format of this call is what I really want, and the intention of this is, there's a lot of agents who are always looking for new information, good information, and it's very rare that they can get the mentorship, especially from somebody who's a top agent in our market. So I really appreciate your time today to speak with me for about 35 to 45 minutes or even longer if people have a ton of questions. So thank you.
You're welcome. Very, very happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll save the questions towards the end, so that way it's just a lot easier. And then obviously I know I ran this for 45 minutes. If it goes longer, obviously it's up to you, what your time is, but this is really your thing. So tell me a little bit about, your background. Obviously you're a top agent and a top team in our market. So tell me about how you got started, where you started at and how you got to where you're at right now.
So I started I was at Wells Fargo right out of college, and I was a computer programmer, which is odd to think about. I hope people don't see me as a computer programmer. But I was in the cube and I couldn't stand that isolation. So I was always putting myself in charge of potlucks and things like that, so I could interact with people. And anybody that knows me knows that I potlucks are just not my deal, but it was the only thing I could think of to get myself out there to communicate and interact with people. And the reason I went into management information systems that was my degree, but the reason I went into that was it combined business, but it also at that time was the hot career at the time, right? So it was the one that you want to make good money and you want to do big things, then this is what you go into. And I knew I liked to shop, and I knew I liked cool things, and I did like computers, so it all just kind of made sense. But I didn't really understand all the isolation and just one-on-one time, and it just wasn't me. Corporate America, just in general, I quickly found out, especially the corporation as big as Wells Fargo, was not me. I came from a small town, so I like smaller atmospheres where I feel like people can see a difference. And not that that doesn't happen in corporate America by any means, just my perception at that time of just getting started. Obviously I was lower on the totem pole and all that, just I could feel it wasn't the right fit for me. So I talked to my realtor at the time that had sold me my house in Ankeny, who we became great friends. I was very attracted to her personality. She was friendly, outgoing. And we're still friends to this day. And she suggested that, yes, this is a great career for you, do it. And she actually suggested I go to a different company than she was at the time, which I thought was interesting to me. But to this day, I see that as a great path that led to some amazing things. And yeah, the rest is history, I guess. I can still do the computer stuff, I think-ish. I can't program C++, but I can do the other stuff.
I don't want to make you feel old, but tell me, what year did you get started in real estate?
2003. And the only reason I can remember that is because I was 7 months pregnant when I interviewed with Dan Rice, my broker at the time. And I was in jean bib overalls. That is the worst interview outfit at all. Talk about being from northern rural Iowa or something and thinking that was the thing to do. What in that? But he would joke about that all the time. He'd be like, do you remember what you looked like when you came to, probably the only thing that fit me at the time. I might have been more than 7 months pregnant, but yeah, I was like, here, you want me to be a realtor at your brokerage? Look at me, whatever. He said, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So when you first got started, obviously with any real estate, it's tough to get going. What were some of the things that you were doing, back in 2003 to try to drum up business and, as quickly as you could?
I like talking to people. Relationships are a big thing. So at that time I was just out of college. So there was a lot of people moving here. There's people from, my hometown and people I'd met at college. I just let everybody know that I was a realtor. I think that was number one. But then I also surrounded myself with people that had done it before. I saw who those people were and I duplicated their business. And I think it maybe cliche to say don't recreate the wheel, but that legit is like so super important. You can put your own spin on things here and there, of course, but there is a path to success that other people have gotten there by doing, and you need to follow that to some certain degree. And technology changes and your ways to get there, will change and vary somewhat, but people have been there before. And if you want to get there the quickest way possible, I think you surround yourself with those people. And I did. And, I got my first townhome project 6 months into the business, a new construction project by, I was just available for open houses and anything they possibly needed. And I absorbed, I was a sponge for everything. I want to know everything about the project so that if I had a buyer, I could sell it. If they needed me for anything, I could sell it. And then I was given a project. And it was Triton Homes at the time. And if anybody remembers those days, it was someone would walk in, they'd sign a purchase agreement that day. It was pretty amazing. And some of the systems I learned then I still use today as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a pretty cool story, especially like, 6 months into it, just getting a new construction, because a lot of people like want to do new construction and get into that piece. So, talk a little bit more about, some of the relationships that you've built with the new construction piece and some of the builders that you work with.
Yeah, I think that's super important. And I should back up. Also, we lost that builder. I don't remember how long. I do a really good job of negative things not staying in my brain very long, but we did lose that builder. They went to a different brokerage at some point. Some of us were offered, I believe, to go to a different brokerage, but we didn't want to do that. So you have to rebuild too all the time. And at that point it was, you got to sink or swim and figure it out. And so that's always changing also. But the thing that I had decided at that point was that new construction was my gig. Like resales have to sell because, to make things happen a lot of times, but new construction needed to be part of my life for sure. I had a passion for it. So I started building those relationships. At my next builder I think there was a few things in between there that I did, but I wasn't super passionate about it. I was given some opportunities for interviews, but I found a for sale by builder sign. And it was actually Daryl Bresson. Probably a lot of people on here know who that is. And he was at his office. I went and talked to him. He had planned on selling it himself, but he appreciated me coming in. It was nice to meet you, all that. I drove by that same house maybe a month later, and it was still for sale by builder. So I called him back, and he's like, fine, yes, come back in. We'll find, yes, I haven't done anything. I don't have time to sell it. So I sold that house. I sold him some townhome ground that Coldwell Banker ended up having, and it just kind of, went from there. And I got a whole townhome development after that. And I took all those Triton stuff, and it just started kind of spiraling from there. And I think that you just build on that. So Triton stuff went to that project, and then you just kind of start building those relationships and always being available and not keeping your information secret. I think that is the biggest thing for me. If someone wanted to come in here today that I don't know on this phone call and ask me what I do, what do you want to know? Someone taught me. I didn't make this stuff up. So I'm not taking it with me to the grave. I've literally talked about grave like twice this week. I need to stop doing that. I feel like I wrote my obituary earlier for an article, but anyway, enough about that. But I'm not, this isn't my information. It's industry information that was given to me, so I'm happy to share it.
Right. And I think that's one thing too, like why I've been, why I like talking with you is you're very open and like very willing to give advice to anybody. Like even, like not even being a realtor, like you're always happy to give advice if I ask for it. So I absolutely appreciate that. So obviously new construction is your thing and you branded yourself like that. Talk about, even from a social media presence, how you've built your social media up with that, because I was looking at your Instagram, I think yesterday, you have 3,200 followers on Instagram. You're verified on there. I mean, that's pretty big. And I don't know if there's a lot of people that can say that they have that. So speak a little bit how you branded yourself in that way.
again, a lot of that is built off relationships. You know, I started off doing everything myself, and I've always been a big believer in not. Some people will have a lot of followers and they will build it really fast with paying for, you can pay for that stuff. And I refuse to do that because I want my engagement to be local. And my goal of my social media is always to actually sell what I'm trying to post about, right? And no one in Florida is going to most likely buy my condo or my caliber house that I'm trying to sell. So having a large amount of followers isn't going to help me unless they're actually here, in my opinion. So I built that I believe, fairly slow, but also strategically. And that was by having people I know like it and spread it that way. And it grew organically. And that is also because I put stuff out there about myself and my business, and how I feel about my transactions. I think every time and I was talking to my team about this, I always point like, you know what I'm doing, but my team meets over there, for our team meetings. But we talked the other day about posts being very personal. Not, I shouldn't say very, but being personal, so people understand why you do what you do. So you'll notice in some of my posts, I'll talk about why this house sale is personal to me, or why this means a lot. And there's so many of those. Of course, I have 20 years behind all of this now. So there's 3 to 4 to 5 time repeat clients now. But I think people understanding the personality behind all of it has helped me get to those 3,200. And then now, where I feed the information to my social media person, I have a professional that posts a lot of stuff. Maybe people can maybe tell the difference now if you look, if it's me or the professional. But she does a really good job of that too, because I do a good job of staying in my lane. People that are around me a lot will hear me say that. Stay in your lane, know the professionals. And I think we would appreciate that too, because there's people that try to get into our business all the time and do our job. And we're like, get out of here. Like we're the realtors. Don't, we have lawyers maybe that sometimes want to do stuff and try to take our commission or have us not get paid commission, I should say.
Right.
But I respect the people in their professions that are good at what they do. And that's who I surround myself with in all aspects of my business. So I've teamed up with really good people on all of that to build my social media presence. So.
Absolutely. And you also, you want to keep it local, and you've done a lot of things locally in the Ankeny community, especially in Prairie Trail. I feel like that's like your baby. Like,
Yeah.
Talking with Kaylee on your team, like she always says that like the Prairie Trail, you're going to think of Danielle. Talk about some of the things that you do locally, or how some agents could potentially get into their local communities to, build some presence that way.
I honestly think real estate is the vehicle the reason I'm here doing real estate is so I can do that. I didn't realize that till probably, I don't know, 8 years ago, or so years ago. But ever since then, it's been a passion of mine to give back all I can to, I focus on sports. Not everybody's going to have that. But anybody knows like my daily life, like when all my kids were little and all that, like it was all sports, and it still is some, but not quite as much. But it took a lot of volunteers, a lot of money, a lot of community effort to make all that stuff happen, and people giving money and giving back. And I wasn't always the one that was available to be there personally, but I was available to give money when I couldn't. And I want to do that like tenfold now, because real estate has allowed me to. And I don't do it for any recognition or anything like that. I want to be available to do that. And so I have like the parent coach teams that I help out. I have the Ankeny Hawks. I help out Centennial. Like I'm not just one or the other. I help out all the Ankeny schools. And so I think that you find your niche and your passion, and you do it because it's genuine. You don't do it I don't expect business back for it. If you're doing it for that, you might as well just flush your money down the toilet. But if you're doing it to truly give back to your community and be known for somebody for that, I think it's phenomenal, because the ripple effects are amazing.
Yeah. and it's a long-term, right? Like, it's not something you see a return. Obviously, like you said, you're not looking for a return on your investment. It's
No.
just getting involved, but
No.
it brought a return over the last
Yeah.
20 years.
Yep. And I don't like, clearly there's coaches that use other realtors and they do whatever, and it is what it, like, I don't care. I don't watch that stuff. I get what I get because of it. That is not why I'm doing it. And you can't be attached to that result.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's good. So I'm gonna shift a little bit and just talk about, some of you've obviously experienced 2008, and we're going through just different markets. Can you talk about a little bit about, what was like 2008 like, and more so like how you have adapted your business to continue to grow even through tough periods. Obviously 2020, 2021 was just insane, but even with like seeing now more of a normal and things picking back up again, I guess. Talk about how you've adapted your business over the years with that.
Oh, am I glitching? Okay.
No, you're good.
Okay. The 2008, could be seen as a negative time very easily. It initially was like the news and all that stuff, just as it is now, it was very negative. So Today's Show at that time was my favorite show. I stopped watching it. I turned off the news and I just, put my head down and decided I had no choice but to make it. I also at that time happened to be restarting my business. From, we talked about losing Triton and all that stuff. It was another time in my life where I was restarting my business, and as a single mom, all in that time frame. So whole different set of things happening then, but I didn't have a choice. Like, I have to pay my mortgage, I have kids, I have all this, and I'm not a failure. So I just dug my heels in, and shortly after that, the whole Prairie Trail development became mine. And I was passionate about it before that, of course, but having control over lot sales and being able to talk to future neighbors and be able to sell where I lived and what I felt so passionate about since day one. I was one of the, first houses out of so many in that neighborhood was just awesome. But I think the thing you have to find during those times is what you're going to go after and what your goals are, and not let up on it, and not let the negative, whether it could be parents, it could be your grandparents, it could be your best friend, it could be somebody saying, oh, I heard this, oh, I heard that, or oh my gosh, how are you doing? Like that stuff, like just no, like, I'm great, how are you? Like, you just have to be like, I've been super busy, and they're like, oh, you have been? Like, I can't believe that was all I'm hearing. So, you have to have a comeback for that, or you just have to shut it out and really shut it out, because our minds can do the most amazing or most horrific things to us, and you are in control of that, nobody else. So when those things come into your head, like during these times where maybe it's a shift or a struggle or whatever, like, your mindset is either your friend or your foe. So I did that, and I guess here we are again. But the relationships that you build during these times, then things get really fun when you come out of it, because you can enjoy the sunshine, I guess. I don't know what analogy to use, but when you come out of the storm, it's pretty amazing, because you worked so hard through it all and you survived, and you did it with integrity, and you're stronger because of it. So
Yeah, and that's awesome. So, basically what you're saying is just stay positive through even the good times and the bad, because as soon as you let the good get too high and the low get too low, that's where obviously you see the up and downs, and
Yep.
then the business isn't as fun. So
Yep.
when did you obviously you've been very successful. When did you start, starting a team?
Oh gosh. That would have, I'm so bad with dates. It was probably, I want to say that was around 8 years ago, something like that. Anyway, facts check this. There's a disclaimer that I don't know for sure, but I don't keep track of that stuff. And I also don't keep track of my volume until the very end either. So someone can call me out on not being a good numbers person all around. But I can tell you why I started my team.
Yeah.
I had coming out of the 2008 to, that whole bubble bursting. And then a couple years after that, I was having like my best years ever, volume wise, but it just seemed, I would say, empty. I had all this knowledge, things were great. Work-life balance was okay. But doing the most volume you'd ever done and not having anybody to share it with just didn't seem right to me. So many people had, poured into me with knowledge and help and all that. And some of them were gone now. And I felt like it was maybe my turn, but I wanted to do it on a bigger scale. But it's also important to me who I'm surrounded with. Culture is very important to me. So I had a hard time at first figuring out how I was going to do that, how I was going to leverage my knowledge and make it all make sense, and also I'm not a manager type of person. Anybody that ever talks to me about that, like, I'll never be that. My team will talk to, like, I don't micromanage people. If they want help reaching their goals and all that sort of stuff, like, I'm here for all of it. But I'm not going to check in with you to see if you made your phone calls you said you're going to make or anything like that. Like, that's not who I am. Like, it's on them. So as soon as I figured out that I wanted to go for it, I've actually had some friends that in the business that had asked me, and I said, yep, I'm ready. And this is what I thought about. And they're like, okay, I'm in. And then it just has kind of spiraled from there. I don't do any recruiting. Again, I stay in my lane. I'm a realtor. That is very important. There's a lot of people that have different theories on that, and nothing against them, but I feel like I am here to be a realtor, and that's what I say I am. I'm not going to get in the business of recruiting agents to make money. If they're attracted to what's going on here and they think they want a part of it, they contact me, and that's how my team has grown. And that's why it's so organic and natural and so good.
And I think, you have a really big team and a lot of retention within your team. Can you talk about, I guess you see some teams, they all have different models. Some will, pay for leads. Sometimes, they don't. What's your thought process on your team? Because like you said, you're a realtor, you don't want to micromanage, but obviously, talking with members of your team, you do provide a lot of mentorship. So expand a little bit about that.
Yeah. In my opinion, I'm not saying I'm the most valuable. I think the most valuable thing I provide is helping the team collaborate with each other, me included in that. They're an inspiration to me often too. It's hard to speak it, because if you're not a part of it, it's hard to describe, but no one competes with each other. We're very competitive people. But no one competes with each other. We all want each other to succeed and help. If you need help with a listing, or you need help doing this or that, someone's there for you to help. I'm stuttering. Like, I can't, it's a hard thing to say, because it's something you just kind of feel when you're all together with the right people. But that only happens when I'm trying to think of how to even say it, like on the tip of my tongue. I think it's also the lead. This is where it comes from, the lead. Yeah. So I don't provide leads. And that is actually the very first thing I say when they come in to talk to me. If someone is interested in leads, it's just, I'm not the right person. I've never paid for leads that I remember. I could have done something when I was younger and realized that that's way too much money and I'm not good at it and all that sort of thing. But we don't provide leads, and I help people build a business that is very strong from the foundation up. And it's longer, it's a genuine business, and it takes a while to get there. But once you're there, like, there's nothing better than having that foundation that is just going to keep building you, more business from there. But that strong foundation will get you through times like now, 2008, all of that. But you have to be patient.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. Realtors in general aren't patient, as you know. But you don't have to deny that, affirm or deny that. But if you are patient through it, and you're working hard, it'll all be so worth it.
Yeah, when you meet with your team, because you guys do a weekly meeting, correct?
Mhm.
What do those meetings look like for you and your team?
The general idea behind them is that we go all around, talk about what we have going on, buyers and sellers, any challenges that we have, any wins, losses, that sort of thing. And the coolest thing is that generally there, few times a month at least, there's houses sold during those. But probably the absolute best part of it is the learning that happens, because they hear my answers to the problems, right? So they get to hear that verbiage. But then I get to hear them help each other as well. And then they just they feed off of that. And then that's on Monday. So then they take that into the week. And the next week we ask about Joe Smith. How's Joe? We all know all their clients, like how's Joe Smith that has the black dog? We always know all these details about the clients, and we want to keep up on them and see how they're doing with them and care about that transaction. So.
Yeah, when you have these meetings as well, obviously you're focusing on business growth as well. Like, do you have like suggestions on like type of activities they should be doing, like on a weekly basis or a daily basis or a monthly basis?
I have a little bit more now since, I always did suggest at the beginning. I have a sheet that talks about things that generally I feel are good weekly practices. A lot of mine are based on relationships. There's nothing scientific about what I do. And maybe that's just because I've done it for so long that I feel like it's secondhand, but my stuff doesn't cost money. So it's literally just talking to people and being in front of people and people that you care about, not for the sake of gaining business, but just being genuine in creating friendships. And you have to touch base with people every so often, right? And now it seems like I don't think about that. Like, I'm just out in the community and I'm doing stuff. But when you're starting and you're newer, you're younger, and you don't have a base, like, you can't sit in your office all day. You have to get out in the community, and you have to do stuff, and you have to talk to people, and but you have to make sure there's not a sales pitch behind it, or that's gonna fall flat on its face. So a lot of my stuff is involved in that, and ways to do that. And technology has changed that. I didn't have anything when I started, but we didn't even text. So things were way different when I started. I literally said I was not going to text message my clients. I've never given into that when text message became a thing. Clearly, that's not the case. I did give in, but so we have different avenues of going about that now. And if I find something that works really well, I share that quickly with them, make sure that they implement it. Again, there's no secrets. There's nothing that I do that I don't want them to accomplish either. But I try to keep it if anything costs money, I want it to be low, if it's a video or something.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I'm curious what your opinion is. Like, there's always, the debate of, whether to join a team or go out on your own. What's your thoughts on that? For if an agent says like, hey, should I just go out on my own or should I stay on the team? Like, what would you say, like some things that somebody should think about?
Everybody's personality is different, so I can't answer that specifically for everybody. Like, some people are great people, but just aren't good with a lot, like working with people, like in that often. But I think the advantage when I see the collaboration that I've mentioned, and all the knowledge that you know and get to see every week, I just can't imagine not being a part of a team like this. But every structure is different. Like, not everybody does what we do and shares the information we share and all of that. But I think, it's not perfect by any means. It could be way better, and I can always be more organized. I could always do all sorts of things, but then I wouldn't be myself, and there wouldn't be, there wouldn't be room for improvement, I suppose. But I think it's great, and it's only great because of the people on it. Like, I don't make it great. But that it's something that it works really, really well. And if you can find something like that works well for your personality, so maybe it is a team that you need leads, and that is who you are, and you don't necessarily care about the interaction. You just need your phone to be ringing. and you can take it from there. Find them, like just find the one that works for you. It doesn't have to be like ours. So you have to find what works for you, but you also, if you're going to go in and do it. Like you have the grind right now is the thing that I have thought about a couple of times is there's a lot of people in the business that weren't obviously the 2008 and all of that. They haven't felt that. This is their first downturn. I don't know if it's even a downturn. To me, it's more of just like, yeah, I don't even know what it is. It's just a shift and like just a change. And the grind for me that it takes right now is extreme. And I don't know that some of the agents that haven't been in it so long even know what that means. Like, I think you have to be okay working your ass off and doing whatever you can to get the deal, put your name out there, and work a lot of hours. And someday, like hopefully not too far in the someday, that it's not going to be like that again. But that's what happened to me, the 2008 to whatever it ended. And then when it came out of it, I was like, oh, okay. I don't remember. There's obviously not
yeah.
I didn't go through the ribbon and that happened. But, I think, I worked till 11:30, 1 o'clock several nights a week. I think some people think I don't work. So I'll state that. You can cut that little part out. You can see that, so I can post that one. But I mean, several nights I'm doing that all the time because there's not time during the day to do it. But I have to have things right, and I'm a perfectionist. So that's when I do it. So you have to grind right now, whatever that means for you. It's a lot right now. So most likely just turn it up is my advice.
Yeah. And also too, there's a couple of agents in here that are watching that have teams, and there were some big producers, and maybe not advice for them specifically, but just anyone who maybe wants to start a team. What would you say are some things that you should think about? Because, that's the dream, right? Is be able to start a team, start delegating, help grow the industry. But like, what would you say, things that they should think about if they want to start doing that?
So I'm way different. I'm so different than so many people. So this is a hard one for me. I didn't start a team until I had done 24 million. So that's when I started a team, and I only have a closing assistant. So I think that some people start teams for different reasons. So I think it depends on what you're starting a team. Like I think you have to have a really good foundation of success is different than, I think you have to have a large enough volume to teach your team to get there too, right? So don't do it to make yourself more money. That's what or in my opinion, I don't want to like offend anybody, but I don't believe you should start a team to make more money. I believe you should start a team to leverage your information that you have garnered and share, and you will make more money. So I think there's a difference. I think your motivation is different because your relationship with those agents is going to be different, because you're not going to look at them as money and filling your pocketbook. I can't imagine that. Just like makes me you're going to look at them as, how can I help them, because they have goals and they want to reach their goals, and seeing them reach their goals is the coolest thing. And yeah, I get some money for it, but I have my volume to where it's at, or that's fine. Like, that's cool. But I want to teach them to survive if I go away, or if I get to retire someday, or if I decide to move to Florida, where I was just at when it was snowing here for some reason. They can survive on their own, and that's my goal as well. So I think you find your motivation and make sure it's in check, and then find people that you will enjoy being around, and that will bring you up higher. So I think that is also important, because you will probably spend a lot of time with them. And so, you know, you can do a personality test with them. I don't do that, but that's an option for some people. You want to know who you're working with if you don't know them. But again, I don't recruit, so I'm no help on that side of it at all. So you can wait and see if people want to come to you, or set up your structure and, you know, kind of just put it out there and wait. And, you know, you run into people once you put it out there to, you know, I got the structure and I have this reason, I have this goal. It'll happen. It's not like it's going to sit there dormant. And I think the structure is super important, because there's structures out there that are not I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna change that. This is a lifestyle, or should be a lifestyle, for a successful realtor. And I only know how to teach how to be a full service realtor. So I don't have buyer's agents, listing agents, any of that stuff. So my structure for sure was going to make sure that they were awarded appropriately. So I think whatever you do, consider that as well, because that passion will come out when they're with your clients.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of, you know, these type of masterminds, is everyone does it differently. And, you know, you, like you said earlier in the call, you just learned this from somebody else, and you're, you know, really, you know, putting that out there. So there's no right or wrong answer. And obviously you've had success with your method and model. So I'll ask you one more question, then we'll open it up for Q&A. And obviously I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but, you know, we're already in April, we're already in the spring, almost summer market now. Talk to me, you know, what is 1 or 2 business goals that you have, you know, trying to finish through the rest of the year?
I don't, so it's another thing. So I don't ever do stuff off of volume, like, never have, never will. I always feel like if money's involved at any of my decisions with this, I'm going to get off balance. So it's never about that. It's just about continuing my, you know, communicating with people, continuing that and building more relationships. So, at just a higher level, I actually decided to step it up this year. So maybe that's why, you know, there's part of that grind, that fire's back in me too, because I actually love these markets. I feel like I whisper when I say that, because I feel like but I feel like it gives me an opportunity to, like, I got a lot, I know a lot of stuff. I don't know, I've learned, and I also learn stuff every day because I surround myself with better people than me. And I embrace that, and I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, that's cool. I know that now. I'll check that off. And like, so every day there's something different and something cool. And I think that my goals right now are just to, I guess, become better, but just bring everything to a higher level. I even learned how to use Canva last month. So I was super proud of that. So like just everything, like just improving my skills. And I think that will reflect with my team and all of that as well.
Yeah, awesome. Well, just looking to level up for moving forward.
That would have been a more concise way to say what I said. Yeah. So thanks for that.
You're welcome. Well, if anyone has any questions for Danielle, now's the time to do it. Obviously, like I said, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So you guys have the floor with Danielle. Ask her anything, and I'm going to mute myself. So you guys go ahead.
Hi, Danielle. It's Tater Nygren here.
Hi.
Thanks so much for putting this on, Jared. This is a lot of great information. I'm glad I could be a part of it. My question for you, Danielle, is if you could pinpoint where your business leveled up, where would you give the most credit to?
Well, I've done it a couple times, so I feel like it. I think that's one thing that you can't ever get comfortable. Are you meaning like where I like reach the top or whatever? Is that what you're meaning?
I mean, yes, essentially, like where you saw the most shift in your business. What are the kind of money-making actions that you were doing?
I've always, it's all back to those relationships. So eventually everything like just starts coming out of the funnel. So you have to be always filling that funnel. And this is hard for people because everyone wants to pay for everything and pay for the leads and do all that stuff. And you can make a lot of money right away with those leads, but I think you can. And I've never done it, but I think if you hit them right, possibly. But listen to me, I know nothing about leads, but I don't feel like that is it's harder to maintain those relationships and it's harder to build a base off of that. And it costs more money. So I feel like as I dug in deeper and I became more of a resource, people knowing that I was a resource, me putting that out there and teaming up with the right professionals. Like I know somebody in every industry, every possible, anything that anybody would need done in the area, any possible professional thing, like everybody's like, Danielle, who do you have in your posse for this? Like they literally know that I know everybody. I think combination of relationships and me putting out there that I was a resource, all of a sudden it just like exploded. And a lot of that happened during the tough times because anybody can sell real estate, not anybody, take that back, but a lot of the other brokers and stuff like that could sell real estate when it was easy. People they can come into the business, they can be a new agent, they can sell real estate when it's easy. When it's tough, it takes someone that is going to grind and have resources and have knowledge and going to work their ass off for you. And that is when that's probably when it exploded. So, and I don't know if I answered the question. It's the
You did.
the things that I was doing were the relationships. I mean, it's always been that for me. So yeah,
I appreciate that.
I had someone critique my business at one point. I was spending, this is what we used to advertise in the Des Moines Register. No joke. And we had to pay for that. So I guess I did pay for something, but I paid for ads in the Des Moines Register. I was paying $10,000 a month for a very short time. I just had that come to me. So I'm glad that I remembered that. I like literally got yelled at about it. It was a friend of mine. And so thank God I wasn't doing it for very long. And that's the only time I've done it, but like I got nothing out of that at all.
Right.
And then that was like, stop that, go back to what you know. And that was like 2008.
Okay. So I guess that kind of leads into another question I have. Sorry, somebody else can go if they have other questions, but like your marketing dollars, where are those going if you're not paying for leads?
Okay, I consider my money I pay my social media person marketing dollars. But then I do spend some money in Prairie Trail because I just have some partnerships and stuff with them. So I shouldn't say I don't spend any marketing dollars, but to me, that's like stuff I've committed to for years, like the Prairie Trail magazine or Prairie Trail events. I sponsor Sips and Songs, which is a VIP concert they have here. So I do a few things like that, but like that's not like I guess that's a neighborhood thing, I guess, but to me that's different. And my business would be fine if I didn't do that. That's more of just like a perk of the neighborhood and all of that. I can do that because of where I'm at in the business now, but I wouldn't do it if I wouldn't do that to get business is what I'm saying. That's not to me, it's not a lead generator. So yeah, I will spend money on like social media stuff through Facebook and that like maybe I'll boost something every once in a while, but I sometimes get better engagement just through my social media because they're all local and it's organic. My guy that looks at my stuff every once in a while, like literally doesn't understand it half the time because he like does that for a living. So I'm no help to people that want to spend money on stuff. So if you want to spend money on ads and that sort of thing and leads, I'm not your gal.
Anybody else have any other questions?
This is Jacqueline Duke. I think we're just a few offices apart right now. Thank you again. This has been really great just to hear. For one thing, I feel like it's nice to have someone that's been so successful as you just affirm that it's okay not to pay for all this stuff and to just focus on people, relationships, which has been more my method too. Speaking of that, what is a typical day like for you?
Mm.
Like, is it going for coffee? Is it going for like lunch, checking in?
Mhm.
What is it?
So there's a couple like non-negotiables for me. I always get my coffee pot ready at night. So the first thing I do in the morning is have my coffee. And I sit on the couch and hopefully no one else is up. So I do that, and I need that to be at least like 20 minutes or so. And I usually check my email. I catch up on all of that. Because I go to bed with no unread emails, and then always wake up with something, or text messages, or, depending on what time it is. But then I have to clear my morning with no unread messages, that sort of thing. So I do that during my quiet time, and I kind of get myself right. I'm still kind of off the news a little bit because it's not super positive right now. So I'm not really doing any news stuff. I touch up with people on Facebook and Instagram, that sort of stuff, because that's a big way that I keep in touch with people for relationships, and try to comment on my friends as much as I can and stay in touch with them that way. And then I also try to work out. For my mental state, I have to do something. And I try to do that 3 to 4 times a week. And if I don't do that, my husband can always tell that I haven't worked out, because I will get grouchy, or he's like, "Oh, you didn't get your workout in today, did you?" It's just something that you have to do something for yourself. So I think you have to find those moments, whether maybe it's just a walk. Sometimes I don't get my workout in, but I go walk. And now that it's supposed to be nice out, I'm going to go be able to do that. And then I come into the office, or I'll work from home, or I just have appointments all day. But the flexibility that I have to be home at night now with the kids and all that, because they're crazy with their activities and all that stuff now, is just super nice with how I structured stuff. For a while, I had to pick up both kids. I had 2 kids at Parkview and Southview and Ankeny, both middle schools, with 2 different ones. My office day really ended at like 3:15. So I didn't work past 3:15, and I hardly ever had night appointments. Let's change now, because they both got their cars. Yay. I'm not a taxi anymore, but those are there's no typical day. So my appointments are scattered all the time. But I think those morning non-negotiables are the most important thing that I do.
So that time to center yourself, clearing out the email and the text, checking in on Facebook or through whatever medium.
Yep. I always call them non-hanging messages. I can't, I think, and that's part of our team, agreements, is that I want them. I don't micromanage. I don't check in on their non-hanging messages, but I want that to be something that they strive for too. And I'm not perfect at it. I screw up too. So, but
Sure.
that's always my goal.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Danielle?
More so question/comment. Both of you, Jared and Danielle, are 2 of my very best friends, and it's just really cool to see you guys come together and collaborate on this, but also just to give another perspective from someone who isn't as big as Danielle in the business yet. I aspire to be that level one of these days, and I just think it's really cool how Danielle's mentorship has gotten me to that point. And I love being a resource for other new agents, to be able to show them that it is possible to not spend a ton of money. Because honestly, when I got into this business, I was in college. Danielle was a mutual connection through 2 people, and it was just the perfect fit. And I didn't have that money to spend being in college, and I've created a business that I can support myself. And I just think it's a different structure than anybody else experiences. When I talk to other agents my age or on other teams, they just can't believe how different the structure is. But I'm just here to tell you that it's like, it is possible to do it without spending all that money and just sticking to the basics. So I'm thankful for both of you, like equally, but in different ways. And I just think that this has been so great to share with so many different people from different parts of the industry and different levels. And it's just been really good to see that all come together.
Thanks, Kaylee. Well, I mean, I can't see it, but I have a tear in my eye, but yeah, you are a good testament to hard work and what can happen for sure. So kudos to you.
Thank you. I'm here because of you.
No, thank you. Stop now. Stop. Mute her.
Well, no, that's good. And Kaylee, she's been great ever since I met her. So, yeah, and I appreciate everybody joining. Any last questions for Danielle? All right, and so what I'll do is I'll send the recording out to everybody too to reference this, and I really appreciate you, Danielle, for joining this. Thank you for all the mentorship you've given to me. I know we're not even connected in terms of like both realtors, but you have helped me a lot in my business. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody for joining. And then I'm going to keep you updated. We have another one next week, so I will get the invite out for that. And thank you all again.
Thanks. See you later.
Yep, you bet. Thank you, everybody.